All right, hi everybody, welcome back to another video. Today I want to talk about my 5-year anniversary of this YouTube channel. So recently YouTube prompted me a message that said, I have it here in front of me, cheers to 5 years on YouTube. Can you believe it? It's been half a decade. What an achievement. And yeah, what can I say? I mean, first of all, I want to thank everyone who has been along on the ride, everyone who subscribed, and maybe especially those that frequently comment below my videos and make the whole experience a little more community-driven, interactive. I really enjoy the interactions I have with some of you below some of my videos, and of course also on some of my other socials. So what I wanted to do in this video is I wanted to answer a couple of questions that were shared below a tweet I put out, or a community message I also put out on YouTube with regard to this 5-year anniversary. And I picked out 3 that I want to talk about in this video, and maybe you gain something from it. And yeah, I guess primarily I wanted to put out this video to just express a big thank you. I know I've not been super active on YouTube in recent weeks and months, ever since, I'm not sure when I did that video that I quote unquote quit YouTube, maybe 3 months ago or so now. So it's primarily been podcasts that I also uploaded on YouTube. There was one podcast uploaded just last week or this week, in fact. And whenever I have the time, I will also publish more regularly. The coming 2 weeks, for instance, I'll probably have some more free time and actually plan to record one other video in which I talk about my current portfolio and the thoughts I have on some of the holdings. So let's see if I can manage to pull this off. All right, turning to the questions. I'm going to start with a question from Andrew himself, Andrew Letendre, who my regular viewers will know because he is the co-host of the podcast we two run together. And he said, or he wrote, the journey, so basically, can you talk about the journey, what caused you to start, where you envisioned yourself in 5 years, and with 2020 hindsight, how things have gone and learnings, good and bad. So what caused me to start? I don't know. I guess, so my regular viewers will know that I'm a teacher, and I guess I have that in me, that passion, desire, the fact that I enjoy teaching others, sharing my own learnings with others. And what I will say, I think Andrew Brown shared that on the podcast episode we recorded with him. So those who don't know, Andrew Brown is a fellow YouTube financial content creator. He said he has experienced the steepest learning curve when he started putting his thoughts out there in public. So there's definitely an element to that where when you put something out publicly, you really have to make sure it's well researched, just overall, like maybe not necessarily well produced, but that it's of high quality in terms of the information that you're going to share. And so putting out content regularly, be it on YouTube, on X, or on the blog, it really encourages you and it incentivizes you to just do a little bit of extra work, which you might otherwise not do. And also putting it into a specific format, like in the case of YouTube, a video, or if we talk about blog posts in the form of a written article, that just forces you to think things through differently. As I just tried to explain, maybe from a different angle, but overall the quality and depth of whatever you're about to articulate, I think you go deeper than just having it in your mind without never putting it down in written form or in a video format. And in terms of the vision I had, honestly, the way I thought about YouTube was always, I just enjoy creating content. I think being productive is just a major contributor to happiness, as opposed to doing something passively. The other day I put out a blog post, which you can freely access, by the way, in which I discussed the rivalry between Twitch and Kick, the two streaming platforms. And in it I shared that ever since the COVID pandemic, I've consumed quite a few esports matches. And occasionally I play myself. And while it's a lot of fun, I never feel like incredibly happy after having spent, I don't know, call it 2 hours of playing video games, as opposed to if you really sit down, do, I don't know, 5 hours of very intense and deep thinking work on a blog post, you put it out, you share it, that's just way more rewarding in my vision, in my perception. And so, I don't know, I never really had the goal of hitting 1 million subscribers or anything like that. obviously hitting milestones, the first 100 subscribers, the first 1,000 subscribers, 10,000, at some point, hopefully 15 or 20,000 subscribers. That's nice. It's rewarding. You can't deny that you're not happy. But in a way, like the milestones you hit and when you hit them is a bit out of control, out of your own control anyhow. So of course you can focus on creating great content. And as a result, some people might support you. Most likely they will. But the degree of growth, I think there's an element of luck when you started, for instance, involved as well. So I don't know if you started with YouTube Finance in 2020 or even earlier, I think you just had way less competition and was easier to grow than it is nowadays, regardless of the quality of the content you put out. So I would like to think that I was never overly focused on the subscriber metric and more focused on the process and most importantly, enjoying the process, so the enjoyment side of things. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Then we have one comment here from JNB816. He wrote, "Evolution as an investor, what has changed, big learnings, books that changed how you think." Let's address the last question first, the books question. I think I released a video titled something, "My Learnings from Reading 99 Investing Books," something like that. I'll make sure I'll display it on screen and link it in the description below. So I would recommend you watch this because here I really condensed down my thoughts on this particular subject best, I think. Nowadays, I actually think that reading books doesn't really make me a better investor anymore. I think once you have the foundation right, once you understand a ton of different concepts related to, call it the main pillars of investing, management, understanding a business model, business operations, financials, valuation, portfolio management, and so on and so forth. I think once you've got the foundation right, you improve most by just studying a ton of businesses. In terms of my evolution and what has changed, I would like to think that I was quite lucky in terms of how I started out. So I was never focused on a philosophy that I feel is not a winning philosophy nowadays. So I was never into trading, into speculative assets, into dividend investing, stuff like that. So I feel like I was always a quality first investor, and I would like to think that I still am. But of course, you become better over time, but the learning curve just flattens over time. But I don't know. I guess one learning would be that as an investor, you always have to be humble. So there's this quote or that saying that there are only two types of investors: those that are humble and those that are about to be humbled. I think that's very accurate. Like, you will frequently be wrong and be punished by the market, and you might have been overconfident in your, call it, security selection, and then something happens that you didn't have on your radar. And maybe to some extent it was a bit of bad luck, but maybe it was a bit of your fault too, because you didn't consider that particular risk. So a good degree of humbleness, I guess, is something that I have developed over time. And also an appreciation of, well, the market actually being quite efficient most of the time. Not all the time, but most of the time. Yeah, okay, I'll leave it there. Last question from Jeremy, who, by the way, he's been someone who has commented a lot below my videos. So Jeremy, thank you for your ongoing support. Jeremy wrote, "Biggest misconceptions," in brackets, "things you thought were true when starting out that after 5 years have proved to be completely untrue." So I don't know, a couple of things come to my mind here. I think I addressed a few in my earlier response already, but two things come to my mind here. So I think it's always important to be super open-minded. So recently I put out a blog post on gold as an investment, for instance. And I would say 5 years ago, I was super skeptical of gold as an asset class. Like, no, and I shouldn't say as an asset class, but as an asset class to invest in if you are trying to maximize wealth. I still believe that to some degree, but I think you have to be open-minded about the facts too. So if you look at the last 20 years or so, I don't have the data in front of me right now, but gold has actually performed really well. And I think over a particular, maybe it's a cherry-picked period, but over a certain 20-year period, going back to 2000 or so, that's cherry-picked, but gold actually outperformed even the Nasdaq over a 20-year time period, which is quite impressive. And so the fact that it's just a speculative asset class is one thing, but acknowledging that even speculative asset classes, if enough people believe in the asset having some value, they can do very well over over even longer time periods. So that would be one thing. I would argue I've also become more open to the idea of market timing. 5 years ago, I would have said, no, that's not something anyone should pursue. I would still say most people shouldn't pursue it, but I'm more open to the idea that some investors that are very talented and that develop a quote unquote feel for the market, also know which indicators and signals to track, they can definitely exploit market inefficiencies and sort of the mood in the market to add maybe 1, 2, 3 percentage points to their overall returns. And that is something I will actually give more thought to going forward. So as of today, it's not playing a major role in my stock selection and timing process, but I think it might more in the future. So I'll keep you updated on that. I keep referring to my blog because that's where I put a lot of thoughts down more recently. There's also a blog post on that particular topic. Again, I'll just display the post I have in mind on screen, and then you can look it up for yourself. And that's about it. I noted down some thoughts here. Let me see what else I should say here. Just one more thing. As I said, I'm posting less frequently on YouTube just because I have limited amounts of time, and the blog is my priority right now. Which doesn't mean I won't post videos in the future. It's a completely different format, and just now sitting in front of the camera, I enjoy that because it's different to writing a blog. And I enjoy the variety too. But all I wanted to say is I have like 15,000 followers on YouTube. Certainly fewer on the blog and less on X and Threads and LinkedIn and stuff. So if you like what I put out, the insights I share, want to continue to observe from the sidelines how my journey is going, I would just encourage you to follow me on any of the other social platforms as well. I would really appreciate that. Okay, and with that being said, I'll wrap it up and I'll record another video hopefully soon on my current portfolio setup.